Today's an exciting day. We're gonna go on a little field trip. Today's an exciting day. We're gonna go on a little field trip. Today's an exciting day. We're gonna go on a little field trip. Today's an exciting day. We're gonna go on a little field trip. So how can you tell that spring has actually come? Just take a look at all that cuteness right there. So when you bring home new birds, their beaks in the water, so they know where to find the water again in the future. You can see them swallowing it. So we have 30 beepers, and it's hard to believe that in just 8 weeks' time, these guys about 5 pounds each, and if we let them go to 10 weeks, it'll be about 7 to 8 pounds. They start off, this is called a brooder. This here is a heat plate, so they can go under here and get warm. I've had it heating up just before I went and got them. So there's water in here. A little bit of apple cider vinegar. Just a little guy. And these guys are day-old chicks. So they were hatched yesterday and put on a truck. Probably came from Ontario. Maybe not. I'm not sure where they actually came from. But they'll be super happy here. Oh, get out of the water. Get out of the water. Get out of the water, silly. I might actually put some marbles in that. Last year we had a horrible experience with chicks that got wet and then died. And all in one night. It was pretty horrific. Which we'd never had before. We've raised lots and lots of chicks. We've never had that problem before. I'm not willing to take the chance again this year of it. All right, so let's have a quick talk about food security, because that's really why we moved here. I know a lot of people talked about why I actually wanted to come here. So 30 years ago, I came here on a school trip. I was in a school, performing arts school in music, and we came here for Music Canada. We toured a little bit of Nova Scotia, and I completely fell in love and didn't want to come home. So Mrs. Fertia and Mrs. Collins and Mrs. Reed, you guys are the reason that I live here now. I know you didn't think that at the time. And I always kind of had this romantic idea of living on a farm. I always knew that this was something that I wanted to try. If it wasn't something that I was going to be good at, I wanted to try it. I always loved animals. And after graduating high school, I found a deep love in gardening, and that became kind of an obsession for me. But I didn't get to do a lot of it because I lived in a townhouse, and my garden was like, I don't know, maybe 4 by 5, maybe a bit bigger, but not very much. And it was mostly, couldn't grow a lot back there because it was shady, and there just wasn't a lot of room to move. And then when Andrew and I got married, we lived in a great semi. I loved my neighborhood. I loved my community. My community was fantastic. I really miss all of them that were there. But we lived on a hill, and it was a hill that was completely in shade, and it was pretty steep. I tried to do lots of things with it. I did put in a perennial garden, but you couldn't grow anything that would fruit because there just wasn't enough hours in the day. It was a north-facing slope, so that means that the top of the hill would have been facing south, but everything here was facing north. And not only that, it backed into a forest. So what sun it could have had was taken up by the trees in the forest. And it was a great place. The kids loved it there. They ran around, they made forts in the forest. It was great. We didn't own the forest, it was owned by the city, but it was a great place to raise kids. And we knew that we wouldn't move for anything less than a lot of acres. But in Ontario, where we came from, we were completely priced out of that game. We had been looking for many years, since my almost 14-year-old was a baby. We had started looking for a farm. We just couldn't find anything that fit in our price range that would have worked for what we were trying to do. So, we fast forward a few years, and I'm always looking, I'm always hopeful, I'm always trying to figure out if this can work. And then we had a community garden, which we used. It was great. We grew a lot of our food in the community garden, but it was only our vegetables and a little bit of our fruit. We knew that we wanted to be more self-sufficient and take some pressure off the grocery store budget. So we kept looking, and then in 2020, as I said before, I had cancer. When I came out of that, I said, we're done. We're going to start looking hardcore now. And we started looking outside of Ontario, and we looked in New Brunswick, and we looked in Nova Scotia, and our realtor pretty much looked all over Nova Scotia for me. We bid on many houses before this one came up. We were heartbroken a few times, but this was the perfect house for us. I can't imagine that we could have had a better place than this place. Things that weren't even on my list, that were just like, one day we'll build this, or we can always go and see the ocean, because you're never that far from the ocean, were things that I got. I got 31 acres, almost, just shy of it. I look at the ocean every single day, which has its drawbacks and its pluses, which, everything has pluses and minuses. The wind here is fierce, but I never have to worry about mosquitoes, which is kind of exciting. My garden thrives because there's not a lot of bugs to do anything, to eat any of the things that are growing here. But also, we came up with this great greenhouse. And yes, the barn it was a disappointment. We thought that we'd be able to use that barn, and maybe we will. Maybe one day we'll find someone who will help us, come alongside us and help us fix up that barn. If you're the person watching and you want to come help us, please let us know. Because the barn project is too big for a regular handyman and too small for someone who's going to build. It's going to take machinery to hoist things up and to fix stuff. I would like to fix it. The inside of it is actually not that bad. It's just the supporting beams that are in rough shape. And then once the supporting beams are fixed, we can tackle the roof. But I digress. Back to the proteins. So we had 5 kids still at home. We have a 17-year-old, a newly minted 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, an almost 14-year-old, an almost 12-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And the first 3 of those that are still at home are boys who play high-intensity sports. So the oldest plays rugby and volleyball, and then the next 2 play volleyball and basketball. My daughter is the next one, and she is artsy. She likes more drawing and that kind of stuff, so a little bit different there. And then my youngest one also plays basketball. So we knew that protein was going to be something that we would have to be really focused on when we moved here. So we needed to have enough property that we could actually have some sort of livestock growing here. And we're lucky that the people that we bought the house from they left us the coop and the chickens, so that was kind of fun. We already had a protein source that renews itself every day, and we love our chickens. They do lots of great stuff for us. They eat the bugs, so we do have a tick problem here, but they do close to the house take care of the ticks. When I'm out in the pasture, that's a totally different thing. Both Andrew and I have had Lyme. It's not something that I would recommend. We do tick checks all the time, but sometimes you can't catch them because they get into spots that you can't see. But we decided that we were going to raise, the first thing that we raised for a livestock animal was going to be chickens. And so we raised meat birds. The first summer that we were here, we raised 2 batches of meat birds. One batch performed really well. The second batch was okay. It was that we had a really cold summer that year. We had a really warm beginning of the summer, and then it got cold really fast, and so the birds basically spent all of their energy putting into just keeping themselves warm. We do raise them on pasture, so Andrew built a chicken tractor, which is a shelter that you build for them and you pull them around. And once these guys migrate out to there, I'll take you on a little tour of that. It's kind of neat. So you move them to fresh grass every day. So they live really, really good lives. And before we moved here, we had friends that had a farm and they were processing their chickens, and I asked if we could go and help. This is before we even bought the house. I wanted to make sure that we could do this. That was something that wasn't going to be out of our wheelhouse. And so we helped them process a couple batches of chickens, and my kids were right into it. They were phenomenal, actually, for city kids who had never done anything like that before. They were amazing, and we knew that we could do this. We have a chicken plucker now, which is really going to make it so much easier and faster, because that was probably the thing that everybody hated the most, was plucking chickens. It takes forever, and I think the chicken plucker, you actually get a better product at the end, and so that's going to help a little bit. But so we raise meat birds and turkeys currently on the farm, and we have raised pigs off the farm with somebody else in conjunction with them, because they've done it before and we hadn't. So I wanted to learn from them. So that's a great way if you're getting started in something and you really don't know whether you're not going to be good at it or not, or you're going to enjoy it or not, or how hard it's going to be, or how much money is involved. Do it. Come alongside somebody and do it with them. So it's like a cooperative, and it worked great. We have 2 pigs in our freezer that we're working through. We have a huge freezer because we do put all of these protein sources in the freezer. And in a couple years we'll probably get a dairy cow, and we're going to get bees next year. That's the big plan for next year. Bees and putting the pigs on our property next year is our big projects. This year's big project is we're putting a pasture fence, a high tensile fence around where the sheep are now, and Lupin will be moving out to there. So Lupin's our Great Pyrenees, so he'll be out there protecting the sheep and the chickens and the turkeys that will be on pasture. And we're also building a new chicken coop. So like I said, the chicken coop will be moved from here out to the pasture. It'll be a much bigger, much more efficient use of space, and we'll be breeding chickens, which is really like laying chickens, which will be really exciting. So that will be a static coop that won't move, but they'll be able to free range when it's not breeding season. So that's it for us. It is gorgeous out today. I can't even describe how beautiful it is in my greenhouse right now. You can see my seed babies here. They're thriving out here. They need to be planted up, which is tomorrow's job. And yeah, that's it. So don't forget, if you really like this, to come back and have another cup of tea with me, and don't forget to share and like and subscribe. We'll see you next time, because all are welcome in the sheepfold.